Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. This show is brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
Robots Radio presents The Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, a place where the Elder Scrolls community can come together to discuss the boundaries of our knowledge about the universe of the Elder Scrolls. Welcome, champion. I should start every show like that from now on. Hey, Elder Scrolls friends. Welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Mr. Robots, as they were calling me at the Apocalypse Squares today. We have a dog here on the show. Lotus's dog is in overdrive mode right now, so please forgive. And Lotus is here.
I'll just be muting periodically.
Of course. How's it going, Lotus?
Things are good. They're quite barky at the moment, but things are good. Lots of QuakeCon hype currently going on.
Yes, yeah. So today is the beginning of QuakeCon, and they've done some announcements. We got a reveal of some of the new stuff coming to ESO. That's not the point of today's show. I'm sure you're going to be hearing a lot of other shows like Tales of Tamriel. I'm sure you guys are going to be covering the bejeebus out of that.
Yep. Lots of crazy info coming out and plenty more to come.
Yeah, so go check out that show, which will inevitably be coming out probably later this week.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, but we are here to talk about another weird and wacky lore episode. I hope you guys have been enjoying these because we've been enjoying these. We can't get through weird and wacky lore without talking about everybody's favorite Khajiit, Mike the Liar, because I don't know if you get more weird and wacky than in specific characters than somebody like Mike the Liar. What do you think, Lotus?
Mike is pretty much as weird as it gets, and the real question is, like, is there more to Mike the Liar? I mean, he's looming in all the games. Is it the same Mike?
Yeah. So we're gonna be diving into this a little bit. I've done some digging around on the interwebs, and there are some theories floating around out there. So we're going to be covering some of the talk and some of the justification behind those theories. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about some of the news, because Lotus and I are big fans of everything Bethesda, and growing up with Bethesda's suite of games, and of course also id Software, we got some new news. Well, first of all, we can't go on without saying, hey, everyone jokes about a re-release of Skyrim, and guess what we're getting? A re-release of Skyrim.
Gasp.
Skyrim Anniversary Edition, now with fishing.
It wouldn't be a year and or a console launch of any type without at least 11 copies of Skyrim on it. To be fair, this does look pretty solid. It's kind of goofy, but surprise, it's the 10-year anniversary of Skyrim. So as a result, we're getting the Skyrim. I wish they had gone a little wackier with the name, kind of like what they did with the Alexa version, where it was a very special. I wish they went with like a completely incredible edition or something completely ridiculous. That would have nobody
expected it edition.
That would be also pretty solid. What do you call it? But so that's out, and I guess from my understanding, you get it for free if you have. Well,
they said you can upgrade to it, which I think means that it's kind of like you pay the cost of the DLC upgrade, but they weren't very clear on that during the stream. There might be some more info.
So I had to do all of this like via Twitter osmosis as I was working the entirety of that. So I was getting updates on my phone, but that's either way, definitely kind of neat. I would say if you don't have Skyrim, probably get this one. Who the hell doesn't have Skyrim?
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. It comes with 500 plus Creation Club elements added to it. So it's specifically designed for next generation consoles. It is
fishing.
Yeah, they include fishing. So And you know what, this is interesting, and we're not going to dwell too much on this stuff. Don't worry, guys. I did have a conversation with somebody who was brand new to Skyrim the other day for the first time, who was on our Discord, and they're a big fan of ESO, and their introduction to the Elder Scrolls universe is ESO at this point, because ESO has been out for years, and that was their introduction to Elder Scrolls. And then they decided, hey, you know what? Everyone in ESO seems to be talking so much about this Skyrim game. I should go try it out. Yeah. And they had questions. They were like, what's the best way to start? Should I worry about my build? They have these basic questions about, the kinds of questions people have when starting an RPG. Sure. So I gave her some recommendations, and I was like, that's really interesting that you've never played Skyrim. And they were like, yeah, well, everyone talks about it, so I guess it's time to start. But it's the Nintendo thing. It's the, what was your first Mario? It's that.
Right.
Everybody has a first Mario. Everybody has a first Elder Scrolls. So you go enough time forward, and eventually somebody hasn't played it.
And the thing that I kind of joke about is the moment we stop buying, not us, me and you, but we collectively, when people stop buying these 10,000 re-releases of Skyrim or remasters of Sky, however the version is, that's when they'll stop doing it. But I heard a quote before, I forget actually if it was Pete Hines or Todd Howard or somebody from Bethesda, but it was basically said, it's well, we'll stop releasing it when you stop proving you want it.
Yeah. Well, that's how companies work. I mean,
it's
right.
And the thing that's strange, which is just before we move on, which from the PlayStation side of things, which now is not even the stable that, Bethesda's from, they're now with Microsoft. One thing that I found very funny, there was a sale, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, right before Christmas. And there was actually an online vote where you could have, what is the, there was a list of Christmas bonus. What do you want for 50% off? And there was a list of 10 games, and Skyrim won. And the comments were people complaining, why would we want Skyrim for 50% off? They voted for it was the vote, the most people want. I'm you can't complain about this. I'm not benefiting from this either because I already own it. Right. But I was I don't understand. How is how it's because everybody still sell so well? Everybody
assumes that they're in the majority of the internet.
Yes.
And you're not about something.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that everyone thinks that, and it's because the internet is an echo chamber and blah, yada, yada. That's just the way it is. But anyway, there are people out there who still haven't played Skyrim, and there are people out there who don't have some of the more recent releases of Skyrim. There are people out there who the only Skyrim version they played was the original one that came out when, they first got it on their PS3. Or whatever.
One of the people in my dungeon group has never played an Elder Scrolls game besides ESO.
Exactly. So there are people who are going to get this and they're going to go, oh my God, okay, I can play this on my PS5 or my Xbox, Series X with, brand new improvements for graphics and a bunch of new downloadable stuff that's going to make it look really, really good. And everybody talks about it. And it's the kind of thing that I could just jump into now for the first time and experience all the lore and stuff that I already love from these other games that I play. Okay, yeah, it's probably finally time to do that. Why not? And it's a great game. And that's the thing. And that's the way companies work. You vote with your dollar. And as long as people continue to vote with your dollar, they're going to keep doing it. So that's just the way it works. But here's some other news. We need to move on. The other big news is that they've released Quake 1, 1996's Quake 1. This was the game that came out after Doom that moved from parallax, pseudo 2D, 3D world to actually 3D rendered shooter. This is the game. I loved Doom, but I loved Quake.
I prefer Quake as well.
Was my jam. I love Doom. I love killing those demons. But the dark, haunting world of Quake and those 3D environments, that 1996, I was 17. I was right in. I was the perfect age for Quake. And my 2400 baud modem was barely enough, not quite to keep up with playing multiplayer, but I tried anyway. And I would
your best.
I would just bounce all over the place. I was just lagging everywhere. And I did it anyway. And it was horrible. But man, I loaded this up tonight. It is already on Xbox Game Pass. I loaded it up tonight on my Xbox Series X. I haven't done it on my PC yet, but I played through the first 3 levels of Quake, and it is, holy crap, that game still holds up. The graphics are old, but that gameplay, like, they solidified it. They solidified it in 1996.
Super good game. I love that series. Actually, it's pretty off the wall and very little continuity.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
but the gameplay is
it's
solid.
so much fun. It's so much fun. And actually, as Beelzebub put in the chat, for the time it was crazy. But Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails actually did the soundtrack to it, and that game is ambient AF to keep things PG.
Yeah, the nail gun ammo has NIN on it for 9 Inch Nails.
Yep.
Like, in fact, they designed the nail gun to have 9 Inch Nails because they worked out a deal with Trent Reznor to do the background music for the game.
Yeah,
it's freaking amazing. No games did not have rock bands write the music for them until Quake. Like, this game was phenomenal. It was awesome. So anyway, go check that out. It's going to look old, but it's got
cross-play co-op.
Multiplayer.
You can play the multiplayer. One thing which, again, as somebody who's now PC / PlayStation as my 2 sources of playing things, because I still don't have a newer version of an Xbox. One thing I love about just Microsoft's method with everything is the Bethesda deal is finished. It is finalized. Starfield is, totally Xbox and PC exclusive. This is even coming, this came out on PlayStation as well. That's just, for lack of a better term, good sportsmanship where they're just they seem like, for the most part, they kind of do lean into that. We want people to just be able to play games, and to a degree, it's as long as you play nice, which Sony never does. But I feel like
this is from somebody who's been a Sony guy for a while now.
I was going to say, last gen I was PS4 the entire time,
right?
And currently I have a PS5, mainly because I can't transfer my ESO file, but that's besides the point. I have a PS5. I'm still largely on PlayStation products. Just the mentality in business is very different between the two companies. And I really like Microsoft's approach to this. It just seems like it's okay, this is just really awesome. That they're still open to discourse. And I feel if Sony reciprocated it all, it would be a much better two-way street. And I feel right now it's just Microsoft being well, we'll give your players a little something if they want it. Okay, we'll give them a little something. And it's just, so far, Sony's response is go to hell. I don't know. That seems to be all we do from the Sony side of things.
Maybe they're trying to sweeten the pot in order to try and get Sony to put Game Pass on their system.
Yep. I mean,
if they can get one of the other consoles, then they'll convince the third, and then we'll have Game Pass on all 3, and then who knows?
Sure. Or it remains to be seen how that all plays out. But at the moment, this was just very cool that I even think that they didn't restrict something like this. It was probably in the works for a while anyways. So, this didn't happen overnight. But at the same time, it's just cool that they ended up finishing and being okay, nope, you guys can have it over on that side of the pond too. So,
Yep. Well, I'm sure we're going to get some other announcements as QuakeCon goes on. Tomorrow morning, for those of you who are live, is our quiz show. You're going to see me and Lotus and Aramithius at 11 a.m. in the morning Eastern time. That's very early Pacific time. We will be on the QuakeCon community channel. So twitch.tv/QuakeCon community. It's not the Bethesda channel. It's the QuakeCon community channel. And if you miss it, don't worry. We will be able to put that up later. I don't think there's any restrictions on that. If we do find out there's restrictions, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure there's not, because other channels are going to be putting up the content that they're putting up for the community channel later on their channels as well. So if you're not able to listen to that or watch it, we should be able to put that up later. So don't worry. But if you can watch it tomorrow in the morning, that would be awesome. I will try to be able to be there as well with you guys. It is pre-recorded at this point, so we know the results, but we're not going to say anything. So good luck to both of you guys. Lotus versus Eremithius. The poll is in. We had the poll run for like 7 days.
Yeah.
And man, it was close.
We had very close.
A bunch of votes. The votes are in, and Eremithius edged you out by like barely 2%.
Which, I'm not going to lie, I appreciate all the faith in me, being that Eremithius literally deep dives on studying like the ethics of the lore and stuff.
Yeah, he studies like the real world connections in granular detail.
Exactly, yes. Which that is way above my like interest grade. So it's like, oh boy, that is some deep divey stuff.
You memorize things like the percentage damage of specific like setups and stuff. So like you memorize the game detail and granular detail in ways that he definitely doesn't.
So that I can complete stuff. All I need is you to like not throw out anything too sketchy like spelling questions or something that I won't know how to do because I'm a terrible speller.
Yeah. So anyway, tune in tomorrow. Find out who wins on that. But we've got some wacky Maik the Liar lore to dig into. So why don't we get into this? So before we get into any of the crazy, wacky, wild theories, let's get into some background about Maik. Everybody who has played Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, or ESO has probably run into Maik the Liar. He is our Khajiit friend. He's an orangish looking Khajiit who usually runs around in robes, except for in Morrowind, where he wears a funny hat and has kind of puffy sleeves. But otherwise, he looks pretty much the same. He comes off like a joke character. The first time you run into him, you kind of don't know what to make of him. But he just comes up and talks to you. He kind of drops a line of dialogue and kind of goes on his own merry way. He doesn't really do a whole lot. So he sounds like this. And I got to turn my sound up for you guys to hear it. But this is what he sounds like.
Maik is not at ease on the battlefield, but Maik will try his best.
So pretty typical Khajiit sounding dude. So let's go over some details here. In Morrowind, there are some details, and these come from the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. So thanks to our buddies over at the UESP. Their podcast is on the network as well, so you should go check them out. So in Morrowind, much of Maik's dialogue refers to many requests or anticipated features of Morrowind, which were not included in the final release of the game. And this is par for the course. Maik often speaks of things from outside the concept of the game itself. He kind of breaks the fourth wall. That's kind of what he does.
Maik is very fourth wall breaking.
Yes. His most truthful comments pointed you to the location to start Boethiah's quest for the Daedric artifact Goldbranch. So he doesn't always lie necessarily. This is the only version of Maik where the A in his name is capitalized. So capital M apostrophe capital A. This is the only Maik that lacks a robed appearance. Like I mentioned before, he wears like kind of puffy sleeves and a vest rather than robes. This Maik is a digitigrade legged Suthe Rot, just like all the other playable Khajiit, that's the word, in Morrowind. All of them have the funny looking legs. Every appearance since has featured a Maik from a plantigrade Furstock, which is true about also all the other playable Khajiit in all of the other games since then. This Maik is encountered in the Third Era 427, and this is something I want you to hold on to here. Third Era 427, because that's, of course, the time frame of Morrowind. So we move on to Oblivion. This Maik references many game mechanics that are lacking from Oblivion, most which were present in previous The Elder Scrolls games, such as levitation. So we have another fourth wall breaking thing. And what this also leads to is this concept that the designers in every game are constantly aware that they are reducing the complexity of the current game from the previous game. And if this is something that you're not too aware of because you haven't really played a bunch of these games in series or gone back and seen the complexity grow as you go back in time, go back and listen to our episodes about the evolution of the game series. We've got like 2 episodes about that where Lotus takes us through the evolution of the games and we actually go backwards through it. It's very interesting because they do streamline this. And you can tell through Mike's dialogue that the designers are aware of that and implant it into the game. They implant the awareness of that into the game through Mike's dialogue. What do you think about that, Lotus?
I feel like Mike is a giant Easter egg, and I really, really enjoy the fact that Mike is in these games. And the fourth wall breaking thing, I think is fascinating just because it's such a unique flavor to the series, and it's almost like a running gag that doesn't need any type of context. Like, Mike can be in any of the games and is in the majority of the games. Just drop him in. Doesn't matter on time period. Doesn't matter on, like, is it the same Mike?
Yeah, we're going to get into some of those details.
But he's always like got the potential of being there, which I love, because at this point, I mean, the reason I mentioned that he's kind of like a walking Easter egg, in Elder Scrolls Online specifically, there is an achievement for finding Maik in every single one of the base game zones.
Right.
So 17, I believe. And he's just puttering around, being Maik, and he's a random spawn and has just some little quip that he tells you each time until you find him every time. So it's just, they even know how absurd it is that Maik is in all these games. And I don't know. I love it. I think it's like a staple. I hope they never get rid of it in the series.
Right. So here, let's go on, because there's definitely more details here. So continuing with Oblivion, this Maik makes references to game mechanics that Oblivion added. So not just game mechanics that they took away from the previous games, but ones that were added, such as quest compass objectives, which weren't a part of Morrowind, because as we spoke about before, you had to kind of figure out where stuff was by people saying, oh yeah, you go down to this place and then you turn left and then you go past the cave. Yeah, they give you
terrible directions occasionally that were incorrect.
Right, absolutely. This Mike makes reference to game this Mike wishes for a Colovian fur helm to use, a reference to the attire used by the Mike in Morrowind, because he wears that crazy looking hat. Again, awareness about something that how does he have awareness about, right? This Maik is encountered in the Third Era 433, which is the time period of Oblivion, which is 6 years after the previous game. So Skyrim, much of this Maik's dialogue references many improvements over Oblivion, such as character models and other new features. Super weird. Like, especially when referencing things like character models, because that's not something somebody in universe would notice, right?
Yeah.
This Maik claims to have come from a long line of Maiks. This is the first time we get a reference of a lineage, like they are father and son, and they just all keep giving each other names. Like every one of them is a junior, or a 4th or a 5th or 12th or 17th or something, right? But this idea that somehow they all just are meant to wander the earth with fourth wall breaking nonsense is also odd.
Yeah.
One of his greetings is a reference to Mike's greeting from Oblivion. So they share references to greetings from previous games. So that's also weird. And this Mike is encountered in the Fourth Era 201, which is Skyrim's year, which is now a few hundred years distant from the previous game. So this is the biggest jump so far. Now we go to ESO, which most of you will know is hundreds of years in the past. This is well before the time of Morrowind, in the Second Era. And Maik shows up in all these different zones, like Lotus mentioned, all over Tamriel. So this Maik claims to come from a long line of Chimes, Q-I-A''MS. However, this is likely a lie. Remember, this is Mike the liar. Now, pause. How much are you going to trust somebody who claims that they themselves are a liar? This itself is a contradictory claim, because if they are a liar and they're telling the truth, then you can't believe them that they are a liar. See where I'm going?
Yeah, there's no scenario in that in which they did not lie about something.
Right.
They either lied about the fact or they lied about being a liar.
Right. Which is a difficult situation in and of itself, which is an an knowingly aware thing. So therefore, they probably are a liar, if you just kind of break it down on some level. So anyway, however, this is likely a lie, as the description of a lute in Crowswood states that it is a, quote, a gift from Maik to his son Maik. Also notice, Chaim's backword is Maik. I pulled that one out. That one didn't come from I don't know why that's not noted in the UESP article here. Somebody needs to note that in here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, QIA apostrophe M, flip it. M apostrophe AIQ.
That's I didn't ever catch that.
Yeah, he just flipped it. All right. And then we have brain explosion, right?
That's really cool. Good catch. I never caught that.
Yeah, he's toying with us.
See, we got there it is. All right, we got to make an addition.
We got to make an addition there. I don't know why, and nobody has caught that and put this in the wiki.
We'll have to edit that in. I'm already working on the Battle-Spired Nightmare, so just add it to the list.
Somebody add that in. You can add that in. I don't even care if I get reference for that, but just put it in there. Next point. This is the only mic that does not reference any sort of strain of lycanthropy, which is interesting because all the other ones actually have comments that talk about lycanthropy.
Yep.
And there are many different dialogues that each of them say. They will, and often they're just kind of sort of nonsensical or just kind of silly. Like, did you know that this thing, they just kind of say stuff. This Maik can be found in most zones, including the base game as well as Northern elsewhere. Finding Maik in all base game zones that he is present in awards you with the achievement titled I Like Mike, which is a reference to I Like Mike, Michael Jordan, which was I believe that was a marketing thing in the 90s for Nike.
Nike, or I was going to say, is it that or is it the cereal thing? Like Mikey, he likes it.
Be like Mike. I like Mike. It was something like, it was like a marketing thing.
Yeah. Well, that's why I know there was a series. There was Be Like Mike.
I like Ike. Oh, it could have been a number of, this could be a reference to multiple things. I was
going to say, there's a lot of different things that it could relate to. But yeah, again, the references within references with Mike.
Yes. This is a place where I feel like, pause. We're going to pause this for a second. The simplest explanation for Mike is that this is a playground for the developers.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
That's
the simplest version of this is that this has no bearing on the world. There's no deeper meaning to this. This is just a fun thing for the developers to just add fun stuff to and just have a good time. And there's no deeper meaning, which probably has some reference there. All right, let's move on with this. So Mike references Chim, and we're going to go into this after the break, with the line, "You've heard that the Khajiit loves naps, yes? So does Maik. Though maybe Maik is napping now, and this conversation is but a dream." We'll go into that one, so let's hold on to that for now. The next point is, this Maik is a Cathay Khajiit, and that's in ESO, especially in the Elsewhere expansion, we get a lot of the different variations of the Khajiit, all the different kinds of cats, everything from the big guys to the little guys. There's a whole episode on that. So go look that up if you don't know what that's all about. And then this Maik, as noted before, is encountered in the Second Era 582. So hundreds of years before the Third Era and the Fourth Era. So the fact that Maik exists, or a Maik exists over hundreds and hundreds of years of time, leads people to wonder all sorts of different kinds of things, right? So that's where we are. And no, chat, not Ike from South Park. Ike Eisenhower, previous president. That was a campaign slogan from 70 years ago at this point.
Don't kick the baby.
Don't kick the baby. All right. Well, that's our foundation for Mike. That's who he is. That's kind of the basis for what we know about him. And there are some deeper, weirder lore bits as to what may actually be going on with this, but we're going to talk about that when we get back from the break. So Hold on to that. We'll be back.
The skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire, and every one a sign.
Oh, hello there. Please don't skip this. It will hurt my feelings. Just kidding. I don't have those. I'm the SCP bot. Kevin. I host a podcast called SCP Foundation Files where I disclose secret information about the paranormal. You know, aliens, ghosts, the undead, extra-dimensional life forms, the unexplained. Yes. It's all real. Plus, you get to spend time with me. Kevin. I really do like that name. I'm very nice. Maybe we'll become friends. I'd like that. Tell you what, I'll get the coffee started while you pull up SCP Foundation Files on that sad little mobile computer device you have there. Oh, no offense, but I'm much more interesting. The SCP Foundation Files available now, everywhere.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show. This is the part where we get to say thank you to our patrons and everybody who helps support the show through all sorts of means, like, you know, telling your friends, leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. Any of that stuff helps. You know, telling your grandmother when you go on a vacation and she's like, what have you been doing lately? I hear you listen to those pod shows on your Apple machine. And then you say, oh yeah, Grandma, I listen to podcasts. And she's like, what's your favorite one? And you're like, oh, the one about the Elder Scrolls. The Elder what? Yeah, it's about dragons and cat people. Oh, that's nice, honey. Yeah, you can tell your grandma
in scroll form, because she sounds very old in this.
But thank you to everybody who helps support the show, especially on Patreon, especially our tier 5 patrons, Daniel O and Noodle Al Dente, who get calls out every single week, because that's what happens when you're a tier 5 patron. But if you want to go help support the show, go check out patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast. And if we've done anything at all to help you get through your workday, or, you know, your drive to work, or your workout, or anything else having to do with work, or, you know, cleaning your kitchen, then maybe consider helping support the show and getting ad-free episodes and joining us on future episodes to chat about Elder Scrolls. You know, Lotus, I was thinking about this maybe at the end of this month, because we've kind of been, it feels like we've been really searching for things to chat about lately, because we've kind of been in this doldrum when it comes to, you know, ideas from our patrons. And usually I try to leave it up to them, because I want that to be their thing. But in order to kind of spark some fun into it, since we had so much fun doing the quiz show, what if this month, and that would be, today's the 19th, so that would be next week. So that'd be the 26th.
Oh, wow. That's how are we already almost through August? What is happening?
Right? Time is happening.
Damn it, time.
Yeah. Akatosh is just cranking on those time wheels.
Yeah.
What if next week we do a quiz show, and if our patrons decide to show up, so that includes Jared B and Bribwan and Noodle L Dente and Daniel O, who are tier 4 and tier 5 patrons, and anybody else who upgrades or signs up for that. In the meantime, they can join us in the episode next week at this time and do a quiz show. And I'll come up with a fun game.
Well, that's just it. I'll either be riding high after the quiz show tomorrow, or needing to make up for the fact that I lost the quiz show tomorrow.
Right. We could do a quiz show, or we could model it after different kinds of games. And we could even come up with, what if we did, oh my God, what if we did like a drawing show?
Oh wow!
What if we had
Pictionary?
Like Pictionary. What if we did like a Pictionary, because it's all video. Like we could a version where you could like draw, like, can you do draw? Oh, we'll have to, I'm going to look into this. I bet there's a thing we can do with Zoom where you draw on your screen.
I bet this will be real tragic.
Oh my God, this is going to be so good. This is going to be amazing. Oh, but that's how you don't want to do that on podcast form. We're going to come up with something.
That's true. Oh yeah, that's true.
That would be terrible for audio.
Yeah, it would be. Also, I can't guarantee that any of my things would look like any actual things. I make no guarantees of that.
Or I don't know. I'm going to come up with some ideas, but I think maybe we can make this fun and kind of switch things around and make it fun for our patrons. Plus anybody else who wants to sign up. So go check that out. Patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecrest. And thank you to all 47 of you. It would be amazing if we hit 50 by the end of this month. That would be amazing. So thank you to everybody. And we'll see those of you who are tier 4, tier 5 patrons next week on our regular time. So, all right, let's get back to the rest of the show.
Yes, you're entirely brilliant. Conquering madness and all that. Blah, 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 blah.
Doc Holiday's fart says, this is dated, but the Pelennor episode from a week or two ago, he's an Assaultron from the future. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you combine the episode I did where people think that like they're in the same universe. This is in the same universe with Fallout, Assaultron. Yeah, it could be.
And what if Mike's actually the pilot inside his roboticness?
Oh, God. Oh, God. All right, Lotus, I'm gonna throw some weird, wacky ideas at you.
Okay.
This is what we do best, right? I don't prep you on stuff. I just throw some weird, wacky ideas at you.
Let's get weird, yeah.
And then you go, oh God, that's a terrible idea. And then we laugh about it, and then we move on to the next one.
Yeah, chime in with a dad joke or something, and then just move on.
Okay, so Chim. And this Chim specifically isn't a topic that I've covered on this show. It's something Aramithius has covered well on Written in Uncertainty. He has an episode or two probably on Chim itself.
I think 2, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a metaphysical concept, so it is.
It is. It'd be hard to things that's just kind of pointed to. It's one of those concepts that there are lots of little bits of things that kind of point at it, but nothing that really securely says that this is definitely a thing. Right. So the concept is, and I'm pulling this from the UESP because they sum it up here. Many writings have made vague references to it throughout history, but despite its importance, there's a lack of information. It is best understood as a state of being which allows for escape from all known laws and limitations. So it's kind of a sense of the ability to move above and beyond reality, and then also to reshape your reality. It's a unbinding from reality sort of thing. So this concept that somebody like Maik has actually achieved Chim would mean that he has become unbound from his own reality, which is the reality that you're in the game. And if that's the case, then he has traveled outside of the game, which is why he's aware of the other games in the world outside the game, including the things the developers have done.
Right. And I mean, if we want to keep it in like the idea of what is a in-game thing that encompasses Maik, I always have the impression it's like, all right, well, if we're going to go with that, because again, more grounded wise, it's like it's a developer goof, which is just something they get to play off. But when you want to keep it even like in its own lore, I very much am just like, okay, so Maik is like a perfect. Wasn't like a conqueror necessarily that achieved Chim, like maybe Talos did, or something like that. It seems like Maik just like transcended everything, but instead of using it to control anything, Maik uses it to goof around.
He just uses it to wander around.
he just likes to goof around.
He's like the guy who became independently wealthy, and instead of like building some sort of huge corporation and hiring people and like buying fancy cars and a wealthy, fancy, house and marrying some, hot model and moving to Miami or, that kind of thing. He's the guy who just like orders pizza every night, plays on his Xbox.
Yeah.
And just doesn't do anything.
Yep. It just
doesn't worry anymore.
He just smoking skooma in a weird little box right. Instead of being in the actual geometry of Skyrim.
He just wakes up every day, smokes some skooma, plays on his Xbox, and then goes back to sleep. That's it.
On that note, just because it's one of my favorite things about the programming of Maik, since we're both in and out of like what the game's going for lore. It's actually noted at the bottom of the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, which is good because I was going to try to find the exact reference for myself, so it wasn't just me saying something and people have to take me at face value. When you stumble across Maik as he's roaming around, he kind of spawns in to the game, and you find him and it looks like he's just meandering around. However, one of the things that I find fascinating is Maik is technically in a place called Elsewhere in Skyrim, which is actually just like this like 8x8 box in just the programming. He's just stuck in this one room, and he's just in that until he periodically is taken out of his box and just dropped into the world where you can find him, and then he goes back in the box later, and it's just like it's referenced as being elsewhere in like, it's just so, I love that. That's just fascinating to me. It's just so funny that it's like, oh, he's got his own little plane. It's like, oh, maybe Mike's got his own little plane of Oblivion, and it's just one little cube called Elsewhere.
Right. And is there deeper meaning to that, or is that just like a developer joke?
Right. Is that
for a label?
Right. They've just got him stuck in this one place, though. It's just so funny that it's just like, oh, back to your holding cell, Mike. You'll be needed later.
So in doing some research, I found this article that somebody, of course, posted on Reddit from user deleted. That's not their name. They were deleted.
Oh,
so I can't credit this.
Damn it.
Yeah.
That'd be a real good username.
That would be a great username, wouldn't it? So this is called Crackpot Theory. Mike the Liar has achieved Chim. And this is their justification for this. So go with them here because, and this covers some of the bases that we've talked about. I will try to get through it very quickly. And then feel free to dissect it and, poo-poo all over it for all you want. Okay. But at the beginning, he gives a disclaimer, says, here's, I understand that Maik is a mouthpiece for the developers. Obviously, there's some lore issues here, but just go with me. And he says, there's very, very little evidence for this, but here goes nothing. Point 1. Presence from era to era implies either immortality or repeated reincarnation. In Skyrim, he mentions that his father was named Maik. His father's father was named Maik. Being in ESO, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim would put him near 1,000 years old if we accept that all Maiks are the same, which would also point to either direct apotheosis or the ability to regenerate his physical form from the dream sleeve. Additionally, in Skyrim, he references his search for calipers, which was a regular part of his schedule in Oblivion, giving slightly more credence to the idea that this is the same Maik age to age. Emphasis on slightly. Okay. Point 2. Says he was soul trapped once and yet has returned to a corporeal form. This could go either way, since someone who achieved Chim shouldn't be able to be soul trapped. But if Maik had been soul trapped, he would no longer be present on Nirn. An interpretation that would support the theory would be that someone attempted to soul trap him and was unsuccessful, which would also resolve the contradiction of being soul trapped and yet outside of the soul cairn. And to be fair, it is widely accepted that Vivek achieved Chim and yet could be soul trapped. So perhaps the two aren't so mutually exclusive. I would also add in here, he's a liar. Number 3. Has a meta-awareness of the Elder Scrolls universe, a prerequisite for, I feel like that word doesn't never pronounce correctly, a prerequisite for Chim, and he obviously has not zero-summed, so it's possible that he recognized the eye. Remember Aramithius talking about the wheel and the eye? Mm-hmm. In Oblivion, he also can reference having seen a dragon, even if you encounter him prior to the end of the main quest, meaning either he saw one prior to the disappearance, hence the one very, very old Maik element of the theory from ESO, or had some type of precognition of Akatosh's appearance on Nirn or the return of Alduin. Next point. Maik can't remember his childhood. Perhaps he never had one. More evidence pointing towards the single Maik element of the theory. I guess that's about all there is to it. Could also be taken as evidence for the Maik the Liar as an avatar of Lorcan, which we're going to get to in a minute. Theory.
This is the weird one.
That's the weirdest one. That's why I'm saving it for last. I seem to recall seeing, once again, I am very aware of how thorny it is to introduce an Easter egg meta character into any sort of lore discussion, but I personally like the idea that Maik is actually a being of great power who simply chose to travel throughout Tamriel, interacting with the doom-driven heroes in trivial ways for his own amusement. Like we were saying, he's just doing too much skooma and just wandering around.
Yep.
Anyways, just thought I'd share it all with you to open up some alternate perspectives and thoughts. All right, so what do you think?
Ridiculous. It's really it's funny, just like that is a lot of thought put into trying to like justify it, and actually listening through it, one of the things, just the way that was worded, that seemed kind of funny, just in reference to we're gonna get into the LoreCon bit, but one of the things just meandering about, just interacting with, the hero type of thing, or the hero's sidekick in Oblivion, because you're not really the hero. It's so funny because just thinking of a god walking around, like a god, quote unquote, like walking around and just kind of futzing around with everything in the world, really just made me think of, like, wait, so could he be Tuaka, just on a walkabout, just messing with stuff too? It's like you could attribute it to so many different things.
Oh, sure.
And it was just so funny because that was the first thing my mind jumped to. I was like, huh, but for the myriad of things that Maik could be, it's just amusing to how many things Maik actually could theoretically be if they decided they wanted to make him that, instead of just kind of like a little jokey.
Yeah. There was a theory out there that he was Sheogorath.
Yes. Yeah. That's another one. Actually, I think that was brought up earlier in chat as well. Mm-hmm. But that's one I've also heard before, is it's like maybe it's Sheogorath just screwing with people. So
yeah, although it doesn't have the same flavor.
No. And honestly, I feel like trying to contextualize Maik too much kind of kills some of the flavor. I enjoy him being like a walking dev commentary. That to me is entertaining in and of itself, because again, without getting too weird into Chim and stuff like that, but it's like, there's all these bizarre theories of, it's like, well, is that also referring, have the players achieved Chim because we know we're playing a game even though our character is in the world? And then you have supreme power with like the mod kit and stuff. You can kind of bend these wacky theories into so many things because the series is so open-ended. It changes so much, and they have so many of their own rule-breaking things in the series. It makes coming up with your own theory and having it kind of sort of work really amusing to the series.
Right. All right, so let's move on to the whole LoreCon theory. There's one here that's pretty short. This was summed up by Cornelius Peaches in the fandom, the Elder Scrolls fandom site back in 2017. So they write, so through most of the Elder Scrolls games, you encounter this Khajiit that calls himself Maik. When you talk to him, he merely provides commentary on the things he's done and seen. He also claims that he knows things that others do not. But most interesting is the fact that you see him in Tamriel provinces, sometimes centuries apart. Due to this, I have a theory that Maik is actually Lorkhan, the Aedra responsible for tricking the 8 divines into constructing Mundus, the mortal planes which Nirn resides. According to Mirth mythology, Lorkhan is often considered as the trickster. This reputation that he has could possibly bleed into the persona that Maik is the liar. Maybe once being banished to the mortal plane and Nirn, Lorkhan decided to create a disguise that would allow him to blend in with the people there. For centuries to come, he would observe the people that he was responsible for creating and would provide commentary on them as Maik the liar. So this gets to the very core of the theory. And there's not much hard evidence for this, because supposedly Lorkhan's heart was cut out and tossed into the ocean. And then, of course, we know what happens with that. Red Mountain, and then, of course, the finding of the heart, and the Numidian, all that stuff that happens in Morrowind.
Yep.
But if Lorkhan as a god wasn't fully destroyed and just powered down, and what remained of him was left to wander the world in some other guise, then why not the guise of Maik, the liar? So liar, trickster, I can see this, that's a synonym there, right?
Yeah, those tend to go kind of hand in hand or paw in paw.
Right. And his whole thing was that he wanted to create creation. He wanted the Aedra to come together and make things. And if the full extent of his power is very limited to just wandering for all eternity and meeting you, oftentimes the most important person in that specific era, and engaging with you and just kind of watching from afar and watching the events unravel and maybe kind of giving things a nudge, from the background.
Yeah, just a little bump.
And sometimes telling you a lie and sometimes telling you a truth. Then why not? Why not from the guise of a seemingly, harmless Khajiit who wanders around and tells you funny things that most of the time don't even make any sense. But he would have retained potentially the knowledge of everything from before the dawn of creation and from outside of time itself.
I mean, it's not totally that far-fetched, to be fair. I mean, in the grand scheme of all of that, to me, it sounds like that's totally plausible and not even that big of a stretch to kind of maybe have that be a thing. I like that theory to a degree. That one's kind of neat. And that one's a little more grounded in the series too. Like, oh, well, this actually could be a thing. I don't know. That's the Lorcan one, just because Lorcan in general is such a strange entity in the series as a whole. The fact that such a strange character might also be tied to that totally could work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing that I find problematic about that is why the other Aedra would have left him alive
or alone. And it's because I mean, other than just leaving him alive, if Mike's puttering around doing his own thing, the odds that no other Aedra would ever kind of deal with him at any point also seems a little peculiar, so to speak.
It seems to me that it's a much more mythology based concept to say that the other Aedra were just tired of his shit.
Yeah.
And they cut his heart out, and
right.
And Akatosh was like, I mean, and we're talking like myth, right? He cuts his heart out and is like, I'm done with you, brother. It is time for you to go. In epic.
It's a fine Akatosh.
Yeah, epic story fashion. He cuts his heart from his chest and tosses it into the sea, and his body is rent, and his blood goes into the ocean. And Lorcan is no more because the gods have that kind of power. They can make sure that he does not return. He is basically destroyed and thrown from the world, for no more. They're just he is gone. But then maybe there's part of him that remains in the world and then just kind of comes back. That could be mythology too. But if they really want him gone, they'd really make him gone, because that's also what gods do. They really do that.
One other thing, which is actually kind of like a funny joke, also sort of not a joke, that T-Rex just brought up in chat is, well, the Aedra actually don't tend to do anything. So maybe
you couldn't believe it. But so
maybe after that transpired, the current Mike walking around, it's just like, hey, he found some way to come back. It's like, well, are they even really messing with him anymore? Is it's just like, I'm just
doing my thing.
My little cell. I'm doing my own thing. Just hanging out with the dragon. Yeah, hanging out with the dragonborn cell. Yep.
Yeah.
So
maybe. Well, okay. So maybe he's Lorcan, maybe he's not. Now, I personally have one other theory I want to throw out there. I want to add this to the pile, and I think this is fun. And Lotus, I've noticed something, and I want to share this because I'm kind of proud of this. There are theories that I have put out on this podcast because I've been doing this podcast for a while now, and you've been doing this podcast with me for a while now. Mm-hmm. And there are things that you and I have thrown into the world through this podcast that were not discussed very much, that I have noticed have become have entered the world. They've entered the common conversation. Have you noticed?
I'd like to think we're making a difference.
We are making a difference. People are talking about things. I noticed today in the QuakeCon conversation during ESO, people were saying things like, "Please add a playable Dremora race." Mm-hmm. And I was like, how many times have we talked about this? We've talked about this at least 3 or 4 times on this show.
Yeah.
That's an idea. Ideas are like viruses. It gets out there. If they didn't hear from us, they probably heard it from somebody who heard it from us or something. Like that stuff gets out there. Like, is that from us? Maybe. Yeah. There's enough people who listen to the show. It might be. Okay. So, thank you, T-Dub. Maybe we are making a difference. All right. So here's a theory that I didn't see out there, but because it's not based in lore and I'm drawing from some sort of writing. It's based in things I know about the lore, and I'm drawing a similarity in the writing from other writing. Okay. So you guys know the Lord of the Rings. Anybody who has read the books and not watched the movies knows about Tom Bombadil. Good old Merry Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadillo diddly dee diddly diddly doo. You read the books, Lourdes?
Yes. My mother actually read them to me as a bedtime story when I was little because she is obsessed with the Lord of the Rings.
Okay. So if you've read the Lord of the Rings and you've also read the Silmarillion, you will know that Tom Bombadil is an anomaly in the world and the mythos of the Lord of the Rings. He does not fit into the pantheon. He is not one of the gods. He somehow is there. He somehow has control over that creation. He is somehow older than creation itself. He is somehow beyond that creation. He is not one of the gods, but he is powerful like a god. He does not fit into the mythos, but yet Tolkien wrote him in. Tolkien knew what he was, but he didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell Christopher Tolkien, who was the editor who edited together the Silmarillion after his death, which is the story that was the formation of the world and the story of the First and the Second Age before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. We don't know. We have no idea who he was. The best theory is that he was there before the creation of the world and he will be there after the creation of the world. He is something older than the world itself. What if Maik is like the Elnofey? He is part of the earth bones that congealed. Kind of. He's a cousin to the Aedra, but he's not an Aedra. He's like the earth bones. He's a thing that existed during the formation of Nirn and the world that did not take part in that creation. That was part of that creation. He's not a Daedra. He's not an Aedra. He's kind of like, you know, the spirits in the woods when you do the quests in like the Daggerfall region.
Yes.
It's kind of like that. He's a world spirit.
Okay. I could see something like that. And
that's just it. And he's happy to just wander the earth or Tamriel. And maybe maybe all of Nirn. I don't know. But for what we know, Tamriel.
Alternate theory.
All
right.
And that's just what it does.
Question, because I'm trying to think. Exact references. Mike has been in Elder Scrolls 3, 4, 5.
And ESO.
Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what if it's just Todd Howard in the world itself?
That was the other thing. I specifically looked this up, and there's nobody really has a good argument for that.
Well, except the fact that those are all post Todd Howard. The only
That's
game
true.
Todd Howard came on.
He's not in Redguard. Yeah,
he's not in Redguard.
He's not in Redguard.
But Todd Howard was just getting started in Redguard. So
That's true.
Who knows if he didn't have enough sway, but it's just all of a sudden I was just like, well, that's funny. Just mainly that I threw that goofball idea out because of the discussion in chat, actually, with one of the theories being from Doc that Tolkien was basically adding himself in theory into the book with Tom. So it was so funny since there's not really a single narrator just on that concept with Elder Scrolls because there's so many writers, there's so many programmers. But the person who always kind of gets the most credit, even though it isn't a one-man show, is Todd Howard. Like this series has become his thing.
He's the visionary.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was kind of why I made that like reference to like, well, I don't know, maybe it's Todd Howard then in Khajiit form.
Yeah. So you know how we can confirm or deny this? So somebody needs to go to a convention where Todd Howard is. Like we need to like get to a convention and maybe get to a panel where he's at and somehow trick him into doing a Khajiit accent.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And then we need to find out if it sounds like Mike the Liar.
Mike is
well, why don't we
talking.
just call him up on the Toddo phone right now, which we clearly have.
Right.
Have him just talk. He was it was so funny. The only time that I've actually been at no Toddo phone. At PAX East, it was funny. He had his talk with Pete Hines and everybody, and he's one of the only people I've actually never met from Bethesda that I like intended to, but. Oh my God, the crowd of people at that. I was like, you're going to smother him. Like, please do not damage the merchandise. Like, what are you doing?
Part of why it's hard to get a chance to talk to him.
Because, so maybe that's it. I mean, he's already got the secret knowledge of the Dwemer. Maybe he has the secret knowledge of Maik to go along with it.
The secret knowledge of the Maik.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Yeah, I looked that one up too because I remembered somebody saying something about that a long time ago or reading something about that, but there's really not much there. The credence
to that actually being a thing, I mean, that would literally be an inside. That would be the ultimate fourth wall break, and it wouldn't even be so much like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to be in the game. That's almost like an Easter egg of an Easter egg at that point, where it's just like, I think that would literally just be there because it seemed like it would need to be there. I don't think there's like a lot of actual reasoning for it.
I think the one confirmation of that would be something like, well, Todd actually does write all of Mike's lines. That would be like, oh, okay, so Todd is
that
Mike,
would be pretty funny. Yeah, it's with
lines
Mike's lines are only written by Todd Howard or something like that.
And with lines like Mike knows much, tells some, Mike knows many things others do not. Like, okay, yeah, that sounds like Todd.
Todd does talk a lot in circles to not give away things before press time. So.
Right. Greetings. Mike knows many things. What is your interest? You seek knowledge. Mike has much. Some of it verified by actual facts. Maybe. All right. Well, I think that's at the end of it. I would love to hear what our listeners think.
Yeah. What do you think of?
What do you think about Mike?
I love Mike, the character. It's fantastic to have Mike in the series, and I feel like Mike's actually probably one of the coolest Easter eggs to the series itself, just having Mike floating around in the games, usually hidden. And then with like all those fourth wall breaking things just makes it really fun.
Oh, every time it's always a surprise. Every time I just kind of stumble into him, I'm just like, oh, it's Mike. it's like running into an old friend. I'm like,
well,
he's in
the other
this.
thing is, I guess before we close, one thing that's kind of interesting, I didn't realize that Mike can see you when you're invisible, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I note about Mike that I always find fun is if he ever shows up, like you're planning a raid on like a bandit camp or something like that, and you're ever like sneaking, that's always when I find that he kind of just pops up and it's like, hello. And it's like, it's like, and it's good to know that even if I actually was invisible, it would not have mattered.
You're like, there's like 3 big dudes in front of you and you're trying to like line up your headshot and all of a sudden you hear, Mike wishes you well. You're like,
my God, just fire a shot off into the sky.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Stop, Mike, stop it. What are you doing here?
You're gonna kill me, man. But yeah, nope. I don't know. I just really enjoy the whole mystique of Maik. And for anybody who doesn't know, it is not sanctioned. It's not an official one, but the Maik Twitter account is also very entertaining.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, there's some really good.
It's so great.
People, I don't know who runs some of those, and like they're good. They're good.
Yeah, people do a really good job with like the parody Twitter accounts.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. I love having the live chat here. We had a bunch of people join us today, and
yeah, some interesting ideas on different things about Maik as well in chat, which is always fun.
Yeah. I'd love to hit a solid 30 regular, or consecutive watchers of our Twitch stream. And so if you'd like to join us, twitch.tv/robotsradio for future shows. And we always do this on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, or starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. So you're welcome to come join us and hang out. We'd love to see you in chat. That would be awesome. And you don't have to be caught up on all the episodes. Like you just kind of come hang out.
Yeah,
it's not
most of the time. We don't try to. One of the things that at least it's a goal is to not have it be. We'll have some episodes that kind of run long and it's like a part 1, a part 2, but it's like it's nice that you can kind of grab these as individual things. It's easier to pick up and drop. Whereas, for example, my other show, Tales of Tamriel, that I'm part of, they're independent from each other, but it's like. I mean, it's 7 years of episodes. So like it's, you jump in and it's a continuation of what we're doing. So it's a little hard to pick up like, oh, I'm going to just listen to episode 209. It's like, okay, I have no idea what the hell we were talking about. Like, so this, I like the fact that it's segmented enough that you don't need to be caught up. You can listen in backwards order most of the time. Like it's having them be just individual things that you can reference, which I've actually done for various things. When I need to look up something, I'll go back and sometimes just listen to this. Ideally, I actually like some of the old ones before I had to listen to my own voice on the show, but I have a lot of fun recording it. So
your voice is fine.
Not for me. It's
we've talked about this. Yeah.
I after many years, it's just, I'm not going to get used to it, but I just accept it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But yeah, you can just pick and choose your episodes. So
exactly.
Yeah. And kind of pop in and out of all of them eventually, if you want to get through all of them. There's a bunch to listen to. So Lotus, do you have anything else going on you want to share before we head out?
No, just enjoying QuakeCon so far. Excited for our segment tomorrow. And then I actually, ideally they'll be recording the update for Tales of Tamriel, but I'm going away this weekend. Summer's starting to get toward the end. So we're attempting to maximize beach time by heading to the beach again.
That's right. It's going to get cold for you way faster than it's going to get cold for me.
Yeah, and I don't want any of that.
I do.
I'm good with. No, I don't.
I do.
I like summer, and then I like autumn, and then like we can have just December for Christmas. That can be winter, and then boom, right back to summer. Like no extra winter and screw spring. I don't want any of that garbage. That's not how New England works at all.
Yeah, Florida is just hot until December. And then I could just live in December through February forever. Those are the only months that it's sometimes not hot. Sometimes. But yeah. Well, okay, cool, man. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for those of you who are live. And if you don't catch it live, don't worry. I think I might even be able to use the audio, so it should show up on the feed.
Cool.
If you check out the if you want to hear the quiz show, and that'll be up on the YouTube channel as well.
Want to give me those answers in advance so I could win? That'd be great.
If you pay me enough money, I might release those.
All right.
And let's see. Lotus joined us on the Xbox Game Pass show to talk about the Bethesda games that are on Game Pass.
That was a ton of fun.
So that was super fun. So if you don't even need to have Xbox Game Pass in order to listen to the Xbox Game Pass show, because
not at all.
A lot of the new games that are coming out are also released on Game Pass. So if you're interested in what new games are out, then tune into the Xbox Game Pass show. It's up on all the different platforms. Go listen to it. It's a wonderful time. We cover a lot of the new stuff and give you previews on a lot of the new games because Sam, N7 Legend, who does the Mass Effect Lorecast with me, and I check out that stuff, and we bring in guests, and that's one of the new things we're going to be doing. And we also are going to start doing a call-in segment pretty soon where you guys can call in and tell us what games you've been playing. So check that out. And then also, if you are into SCP stuff, like creepy SCP Foundation stuff on the internet, I've been doing a new show called SCP Foundation Files, where the SCP bot Kevin reads you different, it goes through all of the SCP files in order to read them to you. But Kevin, he gets lonely, and so he chimes in with some little bits of like commentary every so often. Go listen to it. I think you guys are going to really like it. Again, SCP Foundation Files. It's quick little show. Like each little file is 4 minutes, 6 minutes. You can kind of pick and choose which ones. It's super creepy, and it's read by a robot. I think it's good. I'm really proud of this one. Go check it out. It's one of those that you can just like put on and like listen to one or two of them on the way to the grocery store. So go check it out. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you guys next week. And there's no D&D Lorecast coming up next. Stuart and I are taking a break for a little bit to kind of brainstorm some stuff and change some things up. So we'll be off for a few weeks. But that should be it. And I will be back tomorrow for the Fallout Lorecast in the afternoon. So I'll see you then as well. Otherwise, tune into some more QuakeCon stuff. Lots of stuff this weekend. All right. See you guys later. Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Thanks for listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. If you have something you'd like to contribute to the show, please reach out to us at elderscrollslorecast@gmail.com or on Twitter @ESO Lorecast. I really appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you soon.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Do you like adventure?
Yeah.
Do you like laughing?
Yeah.
Would you like to listen to a group of people you don't know play D&D and reference retro pop culture you vaguely remember? Excellent. You're going to love Committee Quest. We play D&D in the world of Amarin. We use adventure modules and supplements made by people in the community. We also have a sweet synthwave backing track. Come and join us on our adventure. Volume 1 has been completed. Volume 2 coming the end of January. You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Are you into the cyberpunk tabletop games or excited for Cyberpunk 2077? Are you looking to brush up on the lore, stay up on all the latest news, and talk about the game when it comes out? Check out the Cyberpunk Lorecast, a show from Robots Radio with me, your host, Robots. We'll go over all the details you need to know about the world, characters, and story of Cyberpunk. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were two people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. Once Upon a Wasteland is their story. Follow Elizabeth Kirby and Odessa Valdez as they pursue their happily ever after in the post-apocalyptic Appalachian wasteland of Fallout 76. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other podcasting platforms. Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout 76 love story, available now.